India is the seventh largest country in the world. It is the second most populated. In the coming 25 years, it might overtake China to become the world's most populated country. It is surrounded by the Bay of Bengal to the east, the Indian Ocean to the south, and the Arabian Sea to the west. There is a Himalayan mountain range which is spread across most of northern India. In India, Hindi is the official language and is spoken throughout the major cities. The stories were written in epic poems, and these are the Mahabharata and Ramayana by Maharishi Valmiki. But literature has developed little because traditionally the stories were transmitted orally from generation to generation and were not systematically laid down on paper. Literature, like all the Indian arts, has flourished much with the arrival of Muslims in the north of India. It was the British who introduced modern literature into Indian culture. Printing has enabled the emergence of writers of regional languages. But English quickly spread to the whole country and soon served as a vector for the teaching of the upper classes and for the literary expression, notably thanks to the work of Ramohan Ray. From the 19th century onwards, Indian writers became internationally known.
Ramayana, the great Indian epic.
Long ago, the wise King Dasharatha ruled over the kingdom of Ayodhya on the banks of the river Sarayu. Though the king had three wives, he didn't have any children. The chief priest Vasishta advised Dasharatha to conduct a fire sacrifice to obtain a boon from the gods.
Give this to your three queens, and they will bear you sons.
Vishnu said. Not long afterwards, Kaushalya, his first queen, gave birth to a son who was named Rama. The second queen, Kaikeyi, gave birth to Bharata. And Sumitra, the youngest queen, gave birth to the twins Lakshmana and Shatrughna. The whole kingdom rejoiced. The four young princes were intelligent and good-natured. They loved each other, but there was a special bond between Rama and Lakshmana. To Dasharatha and handed him a bowl of nectar. Dasharatha fell to his knees and thanked the god and rushed to give the precious food to his wives. Not long afterwards, Kaushalya, his first queen, gave birth to a son who was named Rama. The second queen, Kaikeyi, gave birth to Bharata, and Sumitra, the youngest queen, gave birth to the twins Lakshmana and Shatrughna. The whole kingdom rejoiced. The four young princes were intelligent and good-natured. They loved each other, but there was a special bond between Rama and Lakshmana. One day, while they were still young boys, the great sage Vishvamitra arrived in Dasharatha's court.
I need the help of Rama,
He demanded.
to slay a demoness who is attacking me. He is only a child,
Protested the king. But Vasishta advised him to let Rama go with Vishvamitra.
He is one of the world's great sages.
He counseled.
It will be beneficial for Rama to spend some time with him.
Unwillingly, Dasharatha gave in to the pressure put upon him, and Rama and his brother Lakshmana went back with Vishvamitra to his hermitage. When they arrived there, Vishvamitra gave Rama magical weapons, and after a bitter fight, Rama vanquished the demoness.
Now,
Said the sag,
you will travel with me to the capital of Videha, where King Janaka is choosing a husband for his daughter Sita.
this had been the real reason why Vishvamitra had wanted Rama to leave the court with him, for he had known that Rama would soon defeat the demoness. In Mithila, all Sita's suitors had to enter a contest known as Aswayamvara to decide the one who should marry her. A bow of Shiva had been placed the center of the court, and the one who was able to lift it would be her husband. Rama succeeded in stringing a great bow given by Lord Shiva, which many before had tried and failed. This won him Janaka's daughter Sita in marriage. Rama married Sita, and they lived happily for many years. Dasharatha decided that it was time for Rama to become king. Everybody was pleased because Rama was a kind prince. However, Kaikeyi's maid Manthara was not happy. She wanted her queen's son Bharata to become the king. "Your queen is in the chamber of protest, my liege," said Kaikeyi's servant. Manthara poisoned Kaikeyi's mind. She decided to ask Dasharatha for the 2 boons he had promised her.
Who has upset you, my beloved queen?
The king asked. "No one," she replied. "But I ask you for the 2 wishes you promised when I save you on the battlefield. If you choose not to grant them, I shall kill myself." Dasharatha remained silent a moment as that battle flashed through his mind. "You are alive, my lord," Kaikeyi replied. "I need nothing else. Let me save my wishes and ask for them when I need them."
You and Rama are dearer to me than anything else in the world.
The king now said, realizing that Kaikeyi was about to ask him for something he would find painful to grant.
I swear that I shall do what you want.
"Then first, I wish you to send Rama into exile for 14 years, and second, I wish you to proclaim Bharata to be the king." Kaikeyi said swiftly. Dasharatha was broken-hearted. He could not believe that Kaikeyi, who had always said she loved Rama more than her own son, and had often suggested he should be the king, had now changed her mind completely. He argued with Kaikeyi throughout the night, but Kaikeyi's mind was made up, and Dasharatha knew he must keep his promise to Kaikeyi and her father. When morning came, the king was utterly worn down. He was distressed by the idea of losing his beloved son in his own old age, and could not bring himself to speak to Rama when the young prince came to get his blessing before the coronation. Rama was concerned.
Have I upset my father?
He wondered. Then, looking at Kaikeyi's harsh expression, he asked,
Have I displeased the king? Tell me, mother, why does my father look so dejected?
"Then listen, Rama," replied Kaikeyi sternly. "Your father loves you more than even his honor, so he hesitates to command you to go into exile for 14 years, while Bharata is crowned and established king of Ayodhya."
Thank you for telling me, mother.
Rama said,
There is no greater virtue than to obey one's parents. I will leave immediately. Bharata will make an able king."
Rama sadly said farewell to his heartbroken father and then went to Queen Kaushalya, his real mother, to say goodbye to her. He explained how the decision had come about and begged her to be kind to Dasharatha, who was deeply unhappy at Rama's exile. Although grief-stricken, Kaushalya agreed with Rama, praying for his happiness in exile. Then Rama went to say goodbye to Sita and to comfort her, but Sita refused to be separated from her husband. "If you can live in hardship away from home and your beloved family," she said, "then I will go with you. How can I be happy living in luxury without you?" His brother, Lakshmana, also refused to stay behind, and that very day, they left the kingdom. Rama led the way, dressed like a holy man, with tangled hair and a leopard skin to cover his body. The only sign that he was a warrior was the quiver of arrows which hung from his shoulder and his precious bow. The whole kingdom was grief-stricken, and Dasharatha died soon after. The three left the city of Ayodhya and made their way across the river Ganges and up into the mountains and forests of the Himalayas, where they live a holy life, filled with fasting and prayer. Rama, Sita, and Lakshmana live in the forest amidst the beauty and peace of nature's treasures. Birds sang, streams gurgled, and flowers bloomed in thousands. One day, a terrible thing happened. A demoness named Shuparnaka saw Rama one day and fell in love with him. She transformed herself into a beautiful young woman and went to Rama. "Become my husband," she said to him. "I will eat Sita, and we can roam the forest happily together." Rama could not be tempted.
"I love my wife dearly. You must look elsewhere for a husband."
Slighted, Shuparnaka tried to kill Sita, but Lakshmana cut off her ears and nose and chased her into the forest, disfigured and longing for revenge. Shurpanaka went to his brother Ravana, the king of Lanka, and asked him to punish them for insulting her. "Your sister thirsts for revenge," the demoness howled, rolling her hideous eyes. "Our brother Kara and all of his demons have been destroyed by Rama of Kosala, and he must be punished. I will personally suck the blood of Lakshmana, who was lobe of my nose and ears, and the blood of Sita, who is the cause of my trouble. Rama's beauties attracted me, and I turned myself into a beautiful woman to tempt him. I thought that no one could resist me, but I could not overcome Rama's love for Sita. She is more virtuous and lovely than any woman ever known." Bitterly, Shuparnaka described Sita's beauty. Ravana immediately desired Sita for himself and decided to seize her at once. He summoned his magic chariot and flew across the ocean to the place where a demon named Maricha lived. Ravana sent his uncle Maricha, who took the form of the golden deer, to attract Sita. On seeing this, Sita asked Rama to catch it. Rama chased the deer and finally shot it. As it fell to the earth, it cried out in Rama's voice,
Lakshman! Alas, my Sita!"
Sita heard her husband's voice in the distance and thought that he must be hurt and in need of help. "Go to him immediately," Sita told Lakshmana. "Rama needs you." Lakshmana protested.
"Rama left me here to protect you,"
he replied.
"He does not need my help."
But Sita wept and pleaded until he agreed to see if Rama had indeed been wounded. No sooner had Lakshmana disappeared into the forest than a holy man passed by.
Who are you who live in the forest, yet are dressed in silk like a one of a noble birth?
He asked. Do you have no protector, Aunt Sita? She replied, greeting the holy man respectfully. I leave her with my husband, Rama, and his brother Lakshmana.
Then do your duty, virtuous Sita,
said the holy man,
and provide me with some food.
Sita stepped out of the magic circle to fetch food for the holy man, and as soon as she had done so, he seized her.
I am the 10-headed Ravana, ruler of Lanka,
he announced.
Become my bride, you shall command him who commands the gods.
Sita resisted, struggling and pleading. King of birds, she begged, tell Rama that Ravana has kidnapped me. Jatayu swooped in front of the chariot, spreading his massive wings to bar Ravana's progress. But the demon drew his sword and sliced off one of the bird's wings so that he tumbled, bleeding to the ground, calling to Sita.
I cannot help you, Sita, but I will tell Rama of your plight.
Rama and Lakshmana set out in search of Sita. Jatayu told them that Sita had been abducted by Ravana. On their way, Rama killed demon Kambadha, releasing him from the course. The demon advised them to meet Sugriva, who would be a great help in finding Sita. They took the demon's advice and met Sugriva. Sugriva agreed to help only if he killed Bali, who was Sugriva's brother. Rama defeated Bali and Sugriva became the Monkey King. Keeping his promise, Sugriva asked his chief Hanuman and his entire army to help him. Rama sent Hanuman in search of Sita. Hanuman found Sita in one of the gardens of Ravana's palace. He gave her Rama's ring and told her that Rama would come and rescue her soon. Ravana's soldier cuffed Hanuman and took him to Ravana. Hanuman then asked Ravana to set Sita free, but Ravana refused. He cuffed Hanuman and set his tail on fire. Hanuman flew high over the city and left many parts of it in flames. Rama, Lakshmana, and Sugriva then rounded up a huge army. A bridge was built to Lanka and the army marched across. A fierce battle began. Thousands of great warriors of both armies were killed. Ravana's army was losing. He called on his brother Kumbhakarna, who had the habit of sleeping for 6 months at a time, for help. After eating a mountain of food, he appeared on the battlefield, striking terror. Rama killed Kumbhakarna. Indrajit, Ravana's son, who was the great warrior, had the power to become invisible, took command. He injured Lakshmana with a magic arrow. Lakshmana lay unconscious till Hanuman flew to the Himalayas and brought a herb that helped revive him. Lakshmana killed Indrajit, and finally Ravana and Rama came face to face. It took many days before Rama could finally kill Ravana with a weapon given by the gods. Finally, Rama and Sita were united. The 14 years of exile was over and they returned to Ayodhya. People rejoiced and came out to receive him. The celebrations went on for many days. The gods smiled down on the new king who brought prosperity and happiness.